Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with you. So good to have you here in Boulder. As the mayor of the city of Boulder, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to our fair city. And what a fair city it is. Have you looked outside today? Oh my goodness, it is so beautiful and gorgeous. So I just want to thank Serge and Sanjoy and all of the Jaipur Literature Festival personnel for bringing the festival here and being with us each year. It's such an honor to have the festival here. And I also want to recognize all of the volunteers. Raise your hand or stand up if you're volunteering with the festival. Let's have a round of applause for the people that make this happen. As well as I want to call it Johnny Teeter, who is our very able MC this morning, or this afternoon. Where's Johnny? Okay, yay, Johnny does extraordinary work in our community. And how fitting it is that we should be holding this festival in the very beautiful Boulder Library. Libraries are cornerstone institutions of our society, and I have some very good news to report for those of you who aren't familiar yet. Just last year, the voters of the Boulder area voted to form a library district, which will put our libraries on a firm and safe financial footing for decades to come. So if we could get a hand celebrating the future success of our libraries, and we'll hear from our director, David Farnan, here in a minute. But this festival is so important now more than ever. There are rising tides of misinformation and disinformation and disunion throughout our society. But we can cut through that. When we come together, when we read a good book, whether it's an amazing novel or a work of nonfiction, and then we learn from the authors and we discuss these ideas, this breaks through this culture of alternative facts, and it allows us to come together and find what's really at the core of our society and what's meaningful to us as individuals and as a community. So I'm very much looking forward to the discussions this week. Every year I come home with a couple of books I would have never found otherwise, and they enrich my life in a deep and meaningful way. So be sure to do the same yourself. And so I'll just close by saying that I very much consider the Jaipur Literature Festival to be the peacock feather in the cap of Boulder's cultural scene, and hope you enjoy it very, very much. And thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for your inspiring words and your commitment to the vibrant cultural scene here in Boulder. Your presence here today is a testament to the importance of literature and the arts in the community. Thank you so very much. Boulder Public Library has been a primary partner since the inception of the festival, and it's been a pleasure working with our colleagues at the library, Kathy Lane, Kate Kelch, Christine Burke, Sophia Siraj, Amy Campion, and of course the library director, David Farnan. Now it's my honor and pleasure to invite on stage Boulder Public Library Director, David Farnan, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure and a privilege. Every year I look out and see all of these beautiful smiling faces and think what a wonder it truly is. It is the music we heard last night and this morning. It is capable of transporting us, and I think consistent with the mayor's discussion, I feel like it cuts through, right? It cuts through cultural difference, it cuts through social difference, it cuts through economic difference, and creates kind of like what we're all trying to do here, right? And that is to create a sense of a public space and a public where we can honestly have open dialogue around a whole host of topics. So that is truly the beauty of JLF, and I'm so appreciative of Teamwork Arts for having thought of this place, Boulder, in the first place, and then ultimately landing here at the Public Library. It has been just a great privilege for Boulder Public Library to be a participant of it. Words mean things, right? It is so critical in our current society to both listen carefully to what people are saying and also to dissect the meaning of what is being transmitted to us. And I think no greater place to do so than obviously through books, but through the spoken word as well, and ultimately also through music. Like, what a great thing we've seen. So I'm Welcome to Boulder. Welcome to Boulder Public Library. I see a lot of familiar faces, people who use the library almost every day, to others who maybe this is your first time here, so welcome. And I have the great good honor today because I'm a fan, I get to introduce Colorado's new poet laureate. So Andrea Gibson is one of the most celebrated and influential spoken word poets of our time. Best known for their live performances, Gibson has changed the landscape of what it means to attend a poetry show. Gibson's poems center around LGBTQ issues, gender, feminism, mental health, and social justice. The winner of the first Women's World's Poetry Slam, Gibson is the author of 7 award-winning books, most recently, You Better Be Lightning. Their live shows have become loving and supportive ecosystems for audiences to feel seen, heard, and held through Gibson's art. They are a resident of Boulder. They are, as I just told someone, it's like Allen Ginsberg in the 21st century in a trans person's body with just the words that speak to us today. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Andrea Gibson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Gibson. I am the Poet Laureate of Colorado, and I'm here to welcome you to this beautiful festival by sharing a poem. And this is from my book, You Better Be Lightning. And the poem is titled Acceptance Speech After Setting the World Record in Goosebumps. I wasn't by any means a natural, was not one of those wow hounds born jaw-dropped. I was tough in the husk, went years untouched by rain, took shelter seriously, even and often especially in good weather. My tears like teenagers hiding under the hoods of my eyes, so committed they were to never falling for the joke of astonishment. When I was told there were 7 wonders of the world, I trusted the math, believed I had seen none of them. Of course, beauty hunted me. It hunts everyone, but I outran it, hid in worry, regret, the promise of an afterlife or a week's end. Then one day, in a red velvet theater in New Orleans, I watched Maya Angelou walk on stage. 17 slow steps to the mic. She took a breath before speaking. I could hear God being born in that breath. My every pore reached out like a hand pointing to the first unsinkable lotus in the bayou of the universe. I'd never felt anything like it. Searched the encyclopedia for the feeling's name when I got home, goosebumps. Afterward, I thought, well, I can do this. Started training morning to night, crowbar swinging like a pendulum at the wall of my chest, tore the caution tape off my life and let everything touch it. Allen Iverson on the television in his first season with the Sixers, crossover sharp as a V of sparrows, flying through the paint like Michelangelo's brush, 333 goosebumps. My baby sister, sober for the first time in 13 years, calling to tell me she just noticed our mother's eyes are green, 505 goosebumps. One day, my friend scored tickets to a Prince concert, tiny venue. I was right behind the sound booth. Prince's entire band that evening were women. At the end of the show, the sound person turned around and whispered he didn't play one song on his set list the whole night. I live on stages. I know what it is to scratch a plan, but not the whole trip and still arrive to your destination 200 years before your time, 421 artists formerly known as Goosebumps. But that's just the fancy stuff. Some of them came from simple facts. It rains diamonds on Jupiter. Blood donors in Sweden receive a thank you message when their blood is used. One night in Michigan, my friend, still undiagnosed, could not uncurl her fingers to strum her guitar, so she sang the chords instead. It was the first time in my life I'd seen pain become an instrument, 10 dozen goosebumps for each and every note plucked from the string section of her refusal to silence her dream. After that, nothing in the world was gray. Even the movie of my past was released in color. The oldest man in my hometown could not get to the door to listen to our carols, so we went inside and sang at his bedside instead. 24 boots on the front step catching snowflakes with their tongues, 776 goosebumps. At one point, everything started doing it. A sincere apology, an enemy's love poem, the moon rising over the continental divide. My love and I thought it was a car driving off a cliff, and suddenly nothing in the world was dying. You ever felt that? A split second when nothing in the world is dying. 888 goosebumps, and the next day I sharpened a tiny axe so I could split the seconds myself. Too much lives in a moment to not feed it to the fire in the heart slow. A Missoula treehouse filled with candlelight, the octopus documentary, the biggest dog in the shelter hiding behind a teacup chihuahua, and the woman who came to adopt a cat, taking all three of them home, me and my home. 3 months into chemotherapy, watching all of my eyelashes fall onto my cheekbones and realizing that was 400 wishes I wouldn't have made otherwise. There is no escaping the magic now. Beauty caught me and never let me go. And the thing about the world record is, if someone breaks it after me, and they will break it after me, I will love that so much that without even trying, I'll just break it again. Have a great festival, everyone. Get lots of goosebumps.
Poet Laureate Andrea Gibson. Let's give her another round of applause. Andrea, thank you for recording that and sending that to us. We hope that you are here with us in person next year. We are hoping to receive you. Now it's my pleasure to invite the Managing Director, Teamwork Arts, Sanjoy Roy, to come up here and share the vision of the festival and introduce our co-directors. Sanjoy Roy.
Goosebumps, truly goosebumps. In 2021, between 2021 and 2022, over 2,500 books were banned in the United States, impacting over 1,600 unique titles, with Florida and Texas being the 2 states of the 33 states that were on top of the list of books which were banned. In Colorado, too, in recent times, you've banned 5 books, 4 of them LGBTQI, and 1 on teenage sex. Every year for the last 17 years, in Jaipur, for 9 years here in Boulder, Colorado, for 10 years in London, for 2 years in Belfast, for 1 year in Doha, for 5 years in Australia. Namita Gokhale, William Dalrymple, and my colleagues at Teamwork Arts keep trying to plant a seed, an idea about the importance of the written word, of the considered word. Can we, by bringing you new ideas, new thoughts, by all the gathered writers from across the world, give you a sense that there could be many truths that can stand together? Your truth and my truth does not have to be in conflict. At the end of the day, this is but one planet we have. We are but one people. The reason why we chose Boulder, Colorado, apart from receiving this very impassioned note from Jesse and Jules so many years ago, was because we thought that this was one place that in many ways epitomized everything that was good. The nature, the beauty, the trees, the Boulder Brook that flows underneath this beautiful Boulder Public Library, people like Johnny and her husband, the mayor, David and the Boulder Public Library and all of their colleagues. This is what we thought represents the best of humanity. And that's what we celebrate And that's what we should be celebrating. Today, back home in India, even as in Parliament, we have a furor caused by a particular parliamentarian who's used very abusive language against a particular community. In the northeast of our country, which is up in flames. Here in America, where you're being torn apart by different ideas. We have to come together. We have to stand united against hate. We have to push back against the violence that we see surrounding and overtaking us. 3 days ago, right across the bridge from here, a person in a truck tried to mow down homeless people in the park opposite the city office at 6:30 a.m. Are they not human beings? Do they not belong? Is it not our responsibility collectively to help, to lend a helping hand, and to acknowledge the humanity within? No more is it good enough to say that it is the government that has to act. The responsibility rests with each of us. Change begins with each of us. Over the next few days or next few hours, you'll see a range of writers. You may not agree with them. Don't buy their book. Don't read them. But please, don't encourage the banning of books. The banning of books leads to burning of books, and the burning of books leads to the burning and the violence against a person, a community, a people. Now for the happy side. Thank you all for joining us here in Boulder, the 9th year. I was saying to the mayor and David and Johnny yesterday that we will be back next year to celebrate our 10th year. None of this is easy. Every year it's a struggle. We keep asking ourselves, should we go on? Should we do this? Should we move to Denver? Should we find another place? But every year when we come here and we see all of you gathered, it just renews our commitment to be back here year after year. So thank you all very much for being part of the festival, for bringing your support, and we look forward to seeing you again next year at the 10th GLF Colorado at Boulder, at the Boulder Public Library. Thank you. Putting together this program is basically our festival co-directors, Namita Gokhale, who couldn't join us today, and she's got a message for us on the video, and that will be followed by William Dalrymple, who's flown in yesterday from London, not so far away. And they and our programming team really works hard. Like I said to somebody who walked up to me today and said, but we don't see any recognizable names. And I said, well, that's not our work. Our work is to bring to you those writers who wouldn't otherwise come here and whose work otherwise you wouldn't engage with. Ladies and gentlemen, Namita Gokhale.
Dear friends and lovers of books, we are delighted to return to Boulder, Colorado to present the 9th edition of JLF at the inspirational Boulder Library. Although I shall miss listening to the wind and watching the waves on the Boulder Creek, I shall be there with you all virtually and wistfully. How we tell our stories and how we share them is changing, as are the voices and technologies that platform them. Yet, the stories remain eternal and timeless. Our narratives define us. Our weekend of ideation and literary conversation looks at the different perspectives of our shared stories. We see how these stories travel and transform and renew themselves. The human race has evolved through its ability to tell stories, to share each other's narratives. From creation myths to tribal tales of hunts and aggression, from ancient epics of courage and conquest to romance and unrequited love, from spiritual seeking to glimpses of immortality, we have learnt and discovered through fable, through myth and legend, fiction and faction, through the repertoire of recorded memory. We will look at the world as it is, with the self-inflicted wounds of the human race, and as it might still be, if we could only take stock and take action. The right to read should be a fundamental right, and a special session examines books that are banned, burned, and censored. I'm grateful for the profound friendships and partnerships I have encountered in Boulder. It is a nurturing space, thoughtful, mindful, and intellectually generous in its interests and understanding. We are together, all of us who love books and ideas, and we are never alone. Wishing you joy and creativity over this very special edition. Thank you and namaste.
Just waking this morning and seeing this fantastic light and the air here in Boulder was reason enough to come here. But to see all these smiling faces filling these seats, even for the inaugural lectures where we do all our thank yous, is absolutely wonderful. I sometimes get worried when my wonderful friend Sanjoy gets a bit messianic about the gloom and dooms of the crazy political scene. I think JLF is a kind of wonderful note of optimism in that darkening sky. When we started in 2005 in Jaipur, we worried if we could fill a hall a quarter the size of this half of the room. And we were relieved the first time when a whole bunch of people filed in and filled the last 10 empty rows. It was only later that we discovered that they were Japanese tourists who'd taken the wrong turning looking for Amer Fort. And they took about half an hour to realize that they were in the wrong place. And allowed us to save face for that first time. Since then, of course, it's just grown and grown. Between 1/3 and 500,000 people turn up every year at Jaipur for a festival that's completely free. We have now 4 or 5 in America. We have other new festivals beginning in Spain, and my favorite, in the Maldives. Anyone here that wants a little bit of literature on the sand is very welcome to come and join us next year in May. We are enormously proud of the program we've put here. I think there are lots of recognizable names. We have Pulitzer winners coming out of our ears, Harvard faculty appearing here. We have extraordinary voices from as far away as Turkey and Nigeria, and of course many voices from India and Tibet. And it is an astonishingly diverse and brilliant mix of wonderful, wonderful writers. So I'm going to get off the stage, and I encourage you all to look at the program. It is a feast for the next 48 hours, which I hope you will greatly enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Namita, William, and our programming team for putting that wonderful program together and giving us those insightful and wonderful conversations. Thank you very much. I would like to thank all our speakers who have come from across the globe, and you will be hearing them, as Willie mentioned and as Sanjoy mentioned, in the next 48 hours with those insightful conversations. And in addition to our esteemed speakers, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the Executive Director, JLF Colorado, Jesse Fredman, festival advisors, our advisory board, partners, supporters, volunteers, and sponsors who have contributed their time, resources, and energy to make this festival possible. Thank you, Dr. Parikshit Singh and Dr. Maria, for coming all the way from Florida and supporting the festival. Thank you so very much. It's the dedication of everyone that ensures the JLF Boulder, Colorado continues to thrive and grow year after year. A big shout out to the people of Boulder, all of you, for being here and your wider communities whose open-mindedness and passion for culture have made this festival a true celebration of diversity and creativity. It's your warmth and hospitality that makes this festival so special. So a big round of applause for all of yourself. Now let us resume this remarkable journey of words, ideas, and imagination. May this festival be source of enlightenment, inspiration, and lasting memories for all of us. Welcome to JLF Boulder, Colorado. Thank you, and let the festivities continue.